Hey everyone, JCR here. I'm doing a new video format. I want to make a couple of videos for newcomers, people who will stumble across my channel, people from the Doom community, Quake multiplayer communities, who are just getting into Quake single player. If you're a newcomer to the Quake single player scene and you don't know where to start, this should be a good place for you. I've curated 4 maps that some of which come from map jams that have many maps. And they're, in my opinion, a good starting point for someone who has just finished vanilla Quake. And let me emphasize, don't jump into this until you play vanilla Quake, because what's going to happen, you're going to be spoiled, and going back to vanilla Quake won't be the same. Some other videos I want to do in this format will feature the various speed map packs, which ones you should check out. I also want to do one for Arcane Dimensions stuff, because that's like a whole other... yeah. I'm also going to do another video that's going to be a concise setup of Quake Spasm from like Steam or wherever you may purchase Quake. So without further ado, let's jump into our first map. Okay, this is the Hoard of Zendar by Sock, released in 2013. Now, I know everyone's talked about this one. This is one of the most talked about maps, probably, in all of Quake. But there's a good reason for that. This one's timeless, which is why it's so talked about. It's replayable, and it's highly detailed, and nicely balanced. I mean, it's got a lot of good things going for it. As far as combat, you'll find that the fights are frantic, but they're well balanced, and several of the fights can be approached from different areas of the map. Here's some more combat footage. As you can see, the enemy complements really work together and make for interesting fights. The entire thing is beautifully interconnected. And once you're within Zendar's walls, it's basically up to you to carve your own path. It has quite a number of optional areas. And I mean, just to give you an idea, the ending, around the 50% mark, you can end the map. There's also a bunch of secrets, so once you've slain all the monsters, there's still more to see. Okay, so moving on. The next map I want to share is from DM4 Jam, which was a recent community mapping event. It was released March of 2018. Some of these events get quite big. This one featured 22 maps, so it's pretty good. Now, the one in particular I'm going to talk about is called a Pact Beheld by One True Purple. Let me also say that the rest of this pack is exceptional, so the fact that I'm talking about this one map shouldn't dissuade you from trying the others, because they're all worth your time, and they're all awesome. May I also shamelessly suggest the DM4 DLC, which features a map from yours truly. Alright, enough of that. So let's move on to a Pact Beheld. It's a relatively small map, featuring some 60-something odd monsters, and only a couple of secrets. But I think it's a perfect example of the more is less philosophy that some mappers use. And it's a certain length of map, like within the 5 to 15 minute length of play, that is a sweet spot for me. It has some platforming elements, which I particularly like. It also features that good old frantic combat with good complement of enemies and setups that take advantage of the surrounding areas. That is what Quake is all about. There's a good balance of health and ammo to keep you going and have you right on the edge. There's also this reuse of space that I feel is very well executed. The player traverses some of the areas in this map in different ways as they progress. He even threw in a quad run for us. So all in all, I feel that this map had very distinct visuals within the DM4 theme. It was nicely executed with a good balance of the combat and the traversing of the environment. The use of the space is good. It was everything that you want in a Quake map. So now we'll move on to something even more recent. This is the Sewer Jam. It's a recent mapping event that came out September? Yeah. So just a month ago. And it features 11 maps in a sewer theme, which we all know is every FPS fan's favorite theme for any kind of level ever. The map from this pack that I want to share is called Hello from the Gutter by Axebeard. This one's a large sprawl through a medieval city, and perhaps it's inspired by Thief or Zendar. In my eyes, it seems to be. This one's very impressive visually, and uses colored lighting, which I don't think any of them else have talked about use. Right, so what else can we say about this map besides its looks? One thing that's unique is that this map will use dry areas and flood them, then take flooded areas and drain them so that they're dry. So this flooding and draining mechanic that Axebeard incorporated into the map is central to progressing, solving the different puzzles, and also the setups for combat encounters. He also put a lot of effort into making it visually distinct. When you activate certain pump mechanisms, what have you, there's moving parts, there's new sounds and stuff that really gives the impression of, hey, I made a change in the map. Did I mention that for being a sewer map, it's very sewer-like? Now, as far as the combat, it isn't as intense or as tightly packed as the previous maps that I shared with you, but it goes from 0 to 100 really quickly. Now, like I said before, you should play the other maps in this pack, but for me, this one merits a highlight. Alright, so for the final map I want to share today, it's going to be from the Funk Map Jam 10, or Map Jam X, depending on which side you're on. The theme for that map jam was Insomnia, which is a critically acclaimed, I would say classic, map pack by CZG that was released in the year 2000. I would say that that one is also worth playing, but that'll be for a different video. So anyway, the map I'm going to share now is Byzantium Ulm Quantum by Newhouse. This map is very different from the previous ones I shared. Newhouse is definitely a believer in less is more, but what he does with what he uses is quite unique. The fights are intense, the player is always in an unfavorable position, and the atmosphere is very unsettling. Newhouse is keen on making his maps have this melancholic, kind of dramatic feeling where the player is certainly not welcome. I would also say, adding to that, that the difficulty level on this map is a little higher. Yeah, it can be brutal if you're not careful. The layout of this map is also pretty interesting, because you have a central area that's reused, but then you have two branching paths in either direction, depending on which pipe you take. Another thing visually, there's this kind of abstractness to the design. You get the impression of some kind of alien structure, but ultimately it's left to your imagination. So that's all I got for today. Keep your eyes peeled for my live stream, where I do mapping and I also do playing. Also stay tuned for more videos like this one, where I'll explore the different maps and map packs from the Quake single player community. Until next time, thanks for joining me.